INFJs, often celebrated as the empathetic and nurturing personality type, have a side that few talk about: their potential to master emotional manipulation. While most people associate INFJs with kindness, deep understanding, and idealism, these very traits can mask behaviors that manipulate the emotions of others. Is this manipulation intentional? Not always. But the subtle, covert nature of how INFJs navigate relationships can make them powerful influencers in ways most people never realize. In this note, we'll explore the hidden dynamics behind how INFJs can unknowingly manipulate others, the psychological mechanisms at play, and how their complex inner world fuels these tendencies. If you've ever wondered why INFJs are sometimes viewed as enigmatic or hard to understand, this deep dive into their dark side will shed light on the complex emotional intelligence that often drives their behaviors. 1. Emotional empathy as a tool for influence. INFJs are renowned for their deep empathy. They have an innate ability to read people's emotions, understand their needs, and sense underlying feelings that aren't immediately visible. This skill allows them to be incredible friends, partners, and counselors. However, their emotional intelligence can also give them a unique power over others. Because INFJs are so attuned to the emotional states of those around them, they can use this sensitivity to subtly shape and influence the behavior of others. Whether it's by offering carefully crafted advice, validating certain emotions while downplaying others, or guiding conversations to elicit specific responses, INFJs can maneuver people's feelings without them even realizing it. Their natural inclination to help and heal can, in some cases, turn into a desire to control emotional outcomes. Instead of direct manipulation, INFJs may use their deep understanding of emotions to gently steer others toward the right decision, one that aligns with the INFJ's worldview or preferences. This can lead to an imbalance in relationships, where the INFJ is guiding the emotional narrative without the other person being fully aware of it. 2. Using vulnerability to gain trust. INFJs are experts at creating deep, meaningful connections with others. One of the ways they achieve this is by showing vulnerability. They open up about their inner struggles, emotional turmoil, and the challenges they've faced in life. This vulnerability draws people in, creating an atmosphere of trust and intimacy. Why it's a problem: while I.N.F.J's vulnerability can be genuine, it can also serve as a tool for emotional manipulation. By revealing their deeper emotional layers, INFJs invite others to open up in return, creating a dynamic where the other person feels compelled to trust them. This exchange of vulnerability can place the INFJ in a position of emotional authority, where they are seen as someone who understands and can therefore influence the other person's feelings and decisions. How it manifests: people may feel more comfortable sharing their own emotions with an INFJ, believing that the INFJ is a safe, trustworthy person. In reality, the INFJ may be using these intimate exchanges to shape the direction of the relationship, subtly guiding the emotional landscape in their favor. 3. The INFJ's desire for control. One of the more hidden yet powerful traits of the INFJ personality type is their deep-seated desire for control, especially when it comes to their emotional and relational environments. While INFJs are often perceived as peaceful, easygoing, and harmony-seeking individuals, their need for control runs beneath the surface and can strongly influence their behavior and interactions with others. This desire isn't always overt or aggressive, but it can be a subtle form of manipulation that often goes unnoticed, even by the INFJs themselves. Why INFJs crave control? The INFJ's desire for control stems from a mix of personality traits, particularly their introverted intuition, (NI), and extroverted feeling, (FE), functions. Their NI allows them to envision and plan for the future in a way that gives them a strong sense of direction. They often have an idealized vision of how things should unfold, not only in their personal lives but also in their relationships. At the same time, their FE makes them highly sensitive to the emotional dynamics around them. INFJs are constantly monitoring the emotional atmosphere of their environment and seeking to maintain harmony. To avoid conflict or emotional unpredictability, they often attempt to control the way interactions unfold, subtly influencing others to ensure that situations align with their expectations. For an INFJ, control provides a sense of stability and predictability in a world that feels chaotic and emotionally overwhelming. They are often uncomfortable with surprises, especially in their relationships, because unexpected emotional reactions from others can disrupt their carefully crafted emotional balance. How the need for control manifests. While INFJs rarely display overt controlling behavior, their desire for control typically manifests in more covert ways. These can be subtle actions designed to influence the emotional tone of a situation or the behavior of others without appearing forceful. Here are some common examples. INFJs often guide conversations and interactions in ways that subtly steer others toward decisions or emotional responses that the INFJ deems right or beneficial for harmony. They may frame their advice or emotional support in such a way that the other person feels inclined to follow their lead. While this might be done with good intentions, it can still come across as manipulative when others realize that they're being emotionally steered. Avoidance of confrontation. INFJs will frequently avoid addressing problems head-on because they fear the emotional fallout that comes with conflict. Instead, they may manipulate situations to prevent arguments or keep relationships smooth. By subtly shifting conversations or playing the peacemaker, they try to control the emotional dynamic to avoid the discomfort of open conflict. INFJs are often future-oriented, with a strong desire to know how things will unfold in their personal and professional lives. In relationships, this means they may become frustrated or anxious when things don't go according to their envisioned plan. They might overplan and try to anticipate every possible outcome, taking steps to control variables, including the emotions and actions of those involved, in order to ensure that their ideal vision is achieved. The INFJ's need for control can create complex dynamics in their relationships. On the one hand, their desire to maintain emotional harmony makes them caring and attentive partners, friends, and colleagues. However, when their need for control becomes excessive, it can lead to tension, especially if the people around them start to feel emotionally suffocated or manipulated. In romantic and close relationships, INFJs may unconsciously suppress their own emotions to maintain control over the emotional atmosphere. This means they might bottle up their frustrations, anger, or sadness for the sake of harmony, which can result in emotional distancing or resentment over time. This suppression often leads to an unhealthy dynamic where the INFJ's true feelings remain hidden, while they continue to shape and manage the emotions of others. The INFJ's desire for emotional control can sometimes lead to codependent relationships. Their nurturing and supportive nature can make people dependent on them emotionally. While the INFJ may feel validated by being needed, it also reinforces their control over the emotional environment, creating an imbalance in the relationship. Over time, this dynamic can become toxic if the INFJ uses emotional support as a means of maintaining influence over the other person. Fear of emotional unpredictability. INFJs are often deeply uncomfortable with emotional volatility, both in themselves and in others. This fear of unpredictable emotions can lead them to try to preemptively manage others' reactions or guide them away from expressing strong emotions. For example, an INFJ might steer someone away from expressing anger by offering overly positive or calming responses, thus controlling the emotional tone of the conversation. While this may seem like a way to diffuse conflict, it can also prevent genuine emotional expression and resolution. The risk of self-sacrifice for control. A key aspect of the INFJ's need for control is that they often sacrifice their own needs and desires in the process. To maintain harmony and prevent emotional disruptions, they may suppress their own thoughts, feelings, and needs. This self-sacrifice is done with the hope of keeping things under control, but it can lead to deep emotional exhaustion and even resentment. Over time, this pattern can contribute to burnout, as the INFJ feels increasingly burdened by the emotional needs of others while neglecting their own well-being. How to overcome the need for control? For INFJs, finding healthier ways to manage their desire for control is essential for maintaining balanced and fulfilling relationships. Here are a few strategies to help INFJs let go of unhealthy control dynamics. INFJs often hide their true feelings in an effort to keep everything running smoothly. However, learning to be vulnerable and express emotions openly can help them foster more authentic and equal relationships. By allowing themselves to be emotionally honest, INFJs can let go of the need to constantly manage others' emotions. INFJs can benefit from learning to accept that not all emotional situations can be controlled. Life is unpredictable, and relationships involve a range of emotions that may be messy or uncomfortable at times. Rather than trying to manage every emotional interaction, INFJs can practice embracing the chaos of human emotion without feeling the need to guide or control it. To avoid falling into people-pleasing and emotional manipulation, INFJs should set healthy boundaries in their relationships. This means recognizing when they're taking on too much responsibility for others' emotions and learning to step back without feeling guilty. Boundaries will allow them to focus on their own needs while respecting others' emotional autonomy. Instead of trying to influence outcomes, INFJs can work on fostering relationships based on mutual respect and open communication. This means allowing others to express their emotions freely, even if it leads to discomfort or disagreement. By promoting honesty and authenticity, INFJs can build deeper, more balanced connections without the need for control. While INFJs are often seen as gentle, harmonious individuals, their deep desire for control over their emotional environment can lead to covert manipulation and tension in relationships. Their tendency to subtly steer conversations, avoid confrontation, and emotionally manage those around them can make them powerful influencers without others even realizing it. By recognizing these tendencies and learning to embrace emotional unpredictability, set boundaries, and practice vulnerability, INFJs can cultivate healthier, more authentic relationships where they don't feel the need to constantly control the emotional narrative. 4. People-pleasing as a form of control. One of the most subtle yet pervasive traits of INFJs is their strong tendency toward people-pleasing. At first glance, this might appear to be an altruistic and selfless characteristic. After all, INFJs are often praised for their deep empathy and desire to help others. However, beneath this tendency to make others happy lies a more complex and, at times, problematic motive: the desire for control. People-pleasing for INFJs is not just about avoiding conflict or seeking approval. In many cases, it is a way to exert control over their relationships and environment without appearing domineering or forceful. By constantly putting others' needs above their own, INFJs can create a dynamic where they manage the emotional atmosphere and maintain a sense of control over how people feel and behave around them. Why INFJs resort to people-pleasing? People-pleasing stems from I.N.F.J.'s core need for harmony and their acute sensitivity to the emotions of others. As deeply empathetic individuals, INFJs have a strong desire to maintain emotional balance in their relationships and avoid conflict at all costs. This fear of emotional discord drives them to anticipate and meet the needs of those around them, often sacrificing their own needs in the process. For INFJs, keeping others happy ensures that there is no disruption to the emotional peace they work so hard to maintain. However, this desire for harmony is not entirely selfless. People-pleasing allows INFJs to subtly influence and control situations by ensuring that others remain satisfied and emotionally comfortable. When everyone around them is happy, the INFJ feels more secure and in control of their environment, reducing the chances of emotional volatility or conflict that they find so distressing. How people-pleasing as a form of control manifests. While people-pleasing might seem like a benign or even positive behavior, it can have far-reaching effects on both the INFJ and the people around them. Over time, however, this can lead to resentment and emotional burnout, as the INFJ continually neglects their own well-being in favor of maintaining control through people-pleasing. The hidden cost of people-pleasing. While people-pleasing may allow INFJs to maintain control and avoid conflict, it comes with significant emotional and psychological costs. Here are some of the negative consequences of this behavior. Constantly meeting others' needs while neglecting their own can lead INFJs to feel emotionally drained. Because they invest so much energy in making others happy, INFJs often struggle to find the time or space to recharge. Over time, this can lead to burnout, as they feel overwhelmed by the emotional demands of those around them. The more they people please, the more they lose touch with their own needs, which can create feelings of emptiness and frustration. Although INFJs may initially feel fulfilled by their role as the emotional caregiver, this dynamic can lead to resentment over time. By always prioritizing others, INFJs may feel unappreciated or taken for granted. This can lead to tension in relationships, as the INFJ's unspoken expectations for emotional balance are not met, even though they've set up a dynamic where others rely on them for constant emotional support. They can also serve as a covert means of control. By constantly prioritizing others' needs, avoiding conflict, and maintaining emotional harmony, INFJs subtly influence the dynamics of their relationships. This behavior often goes unnoticed, both by the INFJ and the people around them, as it is masked by their natural warmth and caring demeanor. However, this form of control comes at a cost: emotional exhaustion, resentment, and a lack of authentic connection. For INFJs to maintain healthy relationships and avoid burnout, they must learn to set boundaries, prioritize their own needs, and embrace emotional honesty. INFJs are highly attuned to the emotions of guilt, both in themselves and in others. They have an uncanny ability to make others feel guilty without directly saying anything. This subtle form of guilt tripping can be one of the most manipulative tactics in an INFJ's emotional toolbox. By emphasizing their own emotional sacrifices or hardships, INFJs can make others feel obligated to act in a certain way, even if that's not what they truly want. How it manifests: an INFJ might express disappointment or sadness in a way that makes the other person feel responsible for their emotional state. 6. Perfectionism and emotional manipulation. I.N.F.J.'s perfectionistic tendencies often extend to their relationships. INFJs might encourage others to express certain emotions while discouraging others, subtly steering the emotional tone of the relationship to match their perfectionistic ideals. The hidden manipulative power of INFJs. While INFJs are often celebrated for their empathy, understanding, and kindness, their emotional intelligence can also make them master manipulators, whether they're aware of it or not. Their deep understanding of emotions and desire for control can lead them to influence others in ways that go unnoticed, creating a dynamic where they subtly shape the emotional landscape of their relationships. If you're an INFJ, recognizing these tendencies can help you become more aware of how you impact others emotionally. It's important to balance your empathy and understanding with respect for others' autonomy, allowing them to feel and act without hidden influences. What do you think? Have you experienced these tendencies in yourself or others? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and share the video if this resonates with you.